Good day everyone, I am Frederic Salimi. This e-course will be uploaded in our training Workspace. If you are interested in full access of this e-course, please send us an email given in description. Have a good day and talk to you later.
We would like to welcome you to the Lean HSE Management System and Continuous Improvement introductory session today. This will be covered in two sessions, one following the other. The first is HSEMS in Oil and Gas Installations by Frederic Salimi, speaker, mentor, and author. And the following session will be Lean and Continuous Improvement by Dr. Deborah Salimi, Lean Sensei and co-founder of the Lean Gulf Institute. We hope you will find this informative and spark your interest in the full program, which is available through our website. And the link will be provided at the end of the session as well as further details. So any reference that you hear in this intro session to practical examples or practical application to be performed as part of the course is referring to the activities that are done in the full-length program. Thank you. It's with great pleasure that I'd like to introduce the Lean Gulf Institute. The Lean Gulf Institute is an affiliate of the Lean Global Network, a not-for-profit organization comprised of 33 institutes across the world. Lean Gulf Institute, or LGI as it is known, promotes thinking globally, acting locally, and improving daily in order to share lean thinking to improve the lives and enterprises of the region that it serves. With that said, I would like to introduce Sam Salimi, the Managing Director and founder of the Lean Gulf Institute. Sam has an engineering degree from Boston University and previously served as Director of Innovation for the National Institute of Standards and Technologies NIST program. His specialty is to define, implement, and refine processes, reduce waste, and improve operational effectiveness across many different industries, including oil and gas and construction, as well as manufacturing. His professional designation is Lean Sensei, which was achieved through SME, or the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, AME, and the Shingo Institute organizations. He also has a Lean Green certification through Purdue University. He promotes lean knowledge transfer and implementations, including hands-on lead-by-example approach in the timely and appropriate use of lean tools and methodology. He has also secured the rights to translate select lean books into Arabic and lead the translation efforts. Frederic Salimi is a speaker, HSE expert, and collaborator with LGI. He has a master's degree in safety and reliability from École Centrale Paris, as well as he is a Microsoft SharePoint designer for collaborative training. He has also been involved in Lean HSMS digital transformation by EPC 365 for oil and gas installations. And he is an experienced HSE design manager with more than 30 years in oil and gas projects. Previously, he served as corporate HSE manager of water and electricity in Abu Dhabi, and he has co-authored several articles and books such as A Systems Approach for Managing the Complexities of Process Industries. The target audience for today's session is plant managers, operation managers, project engineers, engineering managers, lead engineers, HSE design engineers, and process safety engineers. Upon successful completion of this introductory session, you will be familiar with typical HSE management systems, HS policy, HSEMS structure, the hierarchy of documents, responsibilities, elements, and expectations of HSEMS, as well as basic lean concepts to promote a lean HSE management system. Here you see a typical HSE management system model. It all begins with the HSE policy, where you begin with planning, the HS strategic objectives, implementation and operation, which outlines roles, resources and responsibility, as well as documentation, checking, and then management review. Other key components of the management system model is HSE MS processes and activities. You have HSE Specific Processes, which consists of hazards and effects identification, assessment and risk reduction, emergency preparedness and response, and incidents investigation and reporting. Then you move on to the HSE activities part of other CMS processes, such as contractor HSE management, namely contracts and procurement, as well as the numerous other items that you see outlined here. You will also notice at the top that we have a plan, do, check, act model that corresponds to the planning, implementation, and operation, checking, and management review. This reflects continuous improvement and lean methodology, which Deborah Salimi will get into in the second portion of this presentation. Now let's take a look at the HSE Specific Processes roadmap so that you can be able to implement your HSE policy. First, we have HEMP, which stands for Hazards and Effects Management Process. This process provides a structured approach to managing foreseeable HSE hazards, such as their risks are both tolerable and as low as reasonably practicable. HEMP basically consists of the following core process interfaces: identification of the hazards, assessment of the risks, elimination of the risk or reduction of the risk, as well as functional requirements. ER stands for Emergency Response. This process develops, implements, and maintains emergency response arrangements, as well as the planning, procedural, and organizational aspects of managing emergency. In ER, the core process interfaces are defining the strategy, plan, prepare, functional requirements. The third is IIR, or Incident Investigating Reporting. This process is performed after an incident in order to prevent recurrence of the same or similar events by identifying root causes and recommending corrective action. The IIR process is performed as a result of an incident. The key elements or core process interfaces are notify, investigate, and report. You will also notice that in each of these three, we have feedback loops, or the reporting, documenting of lessons learned, as well as this is where continuous improvement kicks in, because when you're doing this, you want to do root cause analysis when you're investigating in order to be able to eliminate the problem and prevent it from reoccurring in the future. Here you have a typical emergency response, or ER, model. It consists of 4 phases. The first one is to set the ER strategy, with the anticipated output being the strategy itself. The second phase is plan for ER. During this time, you come up with specific project as well as operational specific ER plans, such as site-specific ER procedures, contingency plans, ER hardware measures. The third phase of the model is prepare for ER. This includes conducting training, drills and exercise, getting feedback, and preparing lessons learned. The fourth is execute ER. Output of this is an emergency response. In a typical incident investigation and reporting model, the incident occurs, you notify, investigate, and report. And out of this comes the database in which you record and track your lessons learned. Let's look at HSE Management System and see how continuous improvement fits into this particular model. For HSE Management System, we're going to be covering things very briefly. There is an extended course where you can learn about each topic in greater detail and also get some practical examples so that you can see how all of this fits together. But for this introductory section, we'll focus on the key elements. You have leadership and commitment, policy and strategic objectives, organization and resources, evaluation and risk management, planning, standards and procedures, implementation and monitoring, and then management review. Now you'll notice that arrows are going in different directions. These are because of feedback loops and actions that need to be taken. The key thing that I want to point out here is that you see that what surrounds all of these elements is leadership and commitment. We mean commitment at the senior level all the way through the labor level, because continuous improvement does require engagement and ownership at all levels. You'll also notice that continuous improvement and commitment and leadership has a much broader definition because, as we all know, you often have formal leaders in an organization which are supplemented, or in some organizations even in conflict with, the informal leadership. In other words, those who may not have position or title but do have strong influence over the organization. So this is the overview of how continuous improvement, which is all about making things better, permeates or is spread throughout the entire organization. So this is where we explain the concept of continuous improvement mindset. Continuous improvement mindset is when you look at things from a perspective that no matter what you're doing, you're always thinking about how you can make it better. There are 12 elements in a lean company HSEMS system. Each element has its own set of expectations, and these expectations should infer an agreed upon standard which can be measured, because we believe that what gets measured gets done. The first element is leadership. Element 2 is safety. Element 3 is occupational health. Element 4, product safety. Element 5, environmental protection. Element 6, risk management. Element 7, emergency response. Element 8, incident reporting and investigation. Element 9, personnel selection, competency and training. Element 10, external communication. Element 11, legal requirements. And the most important one from a lean perspective is element 12, continuous improvement mindset. And the word mindset is included here when we talk about continuous improvement, because many organizations claim to apply continuous improvement, and they may bring in a consultant or have someone come and work with them. And what ends up happening is that new methodologies are put in place, but it's a challenge to sustain them. Why is it a challenge to sustain them? Because the improvements in most cases were not done by the people who do the work. So when you're looking at all of your other elements, you want to focus on developing a continuous improvement mindset. That means that your employees, as well as your leaders, formal and informal, and management at all levels relentlessly apply the continuous improvement cycle. In other words, there's an overlying belief that things can be made better, and you go after it. Element 1, Leadership Expectations. Establish and implement the HSE Management System. Management to demonstrate commitment to HSE performance through visible participation in HSE issues. Number 3 here is very important. Measurable objectives with appropriate action plans to be set by teams with management approval. Next one, individual and team contribution to HSE performance shall be recognized. Next, procedures shall exist for the transfer of good HSE practices and technology. And the final expectation, the selection of contractors shall include consideration of their HSE performance. Also, from a lean perspective, we'd just like to remind you that the role of leaders is to make sure that they ask the right questions and that employees identify and solve the right challenges. Element 2, Safety. Safety first should be part of every aspect of activity within the company's operation. Practices and procedures should reflect safe systems of work. Expectations around this include HSE regulations are in place and are used as guidance for day-to-day operations. A safe system of work is implemented under the formal permit to work procedure as described in the company's HSE regulations. Mechanisms should also be put in place to ensure compliance with these above expectations. Procedures should exist to ensure that company facilities, plant, and transport are maintained and operated in the safest manner possible. There are 3 expectations focused on occupational health. The first one is an inventory of health hazards in the workplace with an assessment of risk to health rising from these hazards. The second expectation is a program is in place for the management of these issues. And finally, the site owns responsibility for occupational health program and measures. The expectation around product safety is to provide accurate and appropriate information to clients and transport companies on the health, safety, and environmental hazards associated with the company products. And also this assumes that the same applies within the organization. Expectations around environmental protection include control the impact of discharges on the environment, assure that hazardous waste is identified and disposal documented, reduce harmful discharges. Discharges are minimized during the design, operation, maintenance of the facility. Assure that systems are in place to deal with spills and leaks. Control any soil or groundwater contaminated by company operations. And maximize the efficient use of energy. Risk management is a very important component of safety. The expectations around risk management include identify hazardous activities and their consequence, assess the risks of these activities and manage them cost-effectively, design new or modified facilities so that risk is reduced, as low as reasonably practicable, ALARP. Carry out HSE assessments at the planning stages of activities, including disposal of assets. Expectation for emergency response include assessing emergency scenarios for each site, preparing emergency response procedures for each facility or site, making sure resources are available for all possible emergency scenarios, make sure personnel are trained, including those with specialized ER duties, those with no special duties, those in the command and control team. Conduct exercise with debriefs and subsequent lesson learned. Reference emergency procedures manuals for each site. Incident reporting and investigation should address the need for the investigation, analysis, and reporting of incidents and near misses so corrective action can be taken to prevent the reoccurrence of the same or a similar incident. Expectations around incidents reporting and investigation include an incident reporting system should be in place. Investigation of incidents and appropriated recommendations made, including root cause identified, correction actions identified and implemented, lessons learned are shared. Expectation around personnel selection, competency, and training are: ensure the correct caliber of staff is clearly identified and recruited. An induction process, both general and job specific, should be given to all new employees, including contract personnel. A competency evaluation system should be in place to highlight areas of improvement or development of staff. Clear and concise external communications are critical in an emergency situation. Expectations around such external communications include making sure arrangements are in place for contacting local HSE authorities. Be sure to identify who, when, and how such local authorities should be contacted. Public relations are knowledgeable and should be kept abreast of HSE issues in operations, projects, and emergency response to ensure that appropriate information is communicated to concerned parties. Local concerns about the company should also be identified and addressed. Legal requirements recognize the importance of local and international regulations with respect to HSE requirements. Expectations include ensuring relevant HSE legal requirements or industry standards are known, understood, and compliance is incorporated within company systems. Be aware of new developments in law or industry standards and endeavor to participate in or influence their development. Lean and continuous improvement will be introduced shortly by Deborah Salimi. However, as it's a key element, we would just like to point out that HSE performance should be identified, measured, and visually displayed to show progress where possible. Leadership's role is to provide support, recognition, and encourage ongoing employee ownership of continuous improvement. Expectations around continuous improvement is that teams with management approval should identify specific HSE performance targets for short-term, annual, or longer-term objectives or plans. Systematic current and future state analysis and problem-solving techniques should indicate what, where, how, and when possible improvements in HSE issues could be made. Standards should be put in place, well communicated, followed, and updating, applying the plan, do, check, continuous improvement model, which was first introduced at the very beginning of this session. Here we have the Lean Gulf Institute Training Workspace. This is our online depository for Lean knowledge transfer and implementations. This particular example features the HSE Management System training, which includes the training workspace, gap analysis, and environmental awareness. And this is just a sampling of what we have available online. And now I would like to turn it over to Dr. Deborah Salimi, and she will take you through Lean and continuous improvement, where you will have an opportunity to be introduced to continuous improvement and Lean. Actually, this course, although very brief, represents numerous years of experience in working on continuous improvement activities across the globe and locally, as well as teaching and coaching others to become continuous improvement practitioners. We are going to use the learn by doing approach. And doing this approach will draw upon the experience of both your instructor and you. So let's get started. This short course covers select basic elements of continuous improvement and lean methodology. And in case you were not familiar with lean, lean is an approach that supports continuous improvement efforts. So some of the things we're going to be covering is what lean is not. We will define lean. We will learn the difference between value-added and non-value-added activities. You'll be introduced to the 8 wastes, and also the importance of learning to see. And you will have an opportunity to do an exercise that allows you to practice learning to see. When done in a classroom or team environment, the exercise also encourages teamwork and communication in order to accomplish the task at hand as quickly and as efficiently as possible. First, let me dispel a few myths about lean that have been spread by those who truly do not understand it or continuous improvement. Lean is not a single method or technology. It's not about working harder or working faster, and it's not a cost reduction program that focuses on eliminating people. Nor is lean a quick fix or collection of tools. It's a way of thinking and doing to make things better. Lean is much more than the 3 items that you see here. It is a set of methods and technologies that eliminate waste throughout the enterprise. It's a proven way of thinking and conducting business. Lean is simple, but it's not easy. Getting people to change the way they think and do business is never easy, but it is possible, and those who have done it are convinced it's the way to go because of the transformational changes that they have both been a part of and have witnessed. So simply stated, what is lean? Let's go and take a look. Lean is a value-driven, systematic approach that is used to operate and continuously improve the enterprise in order to focus on providing value to the customer. The core idea is to maximize customer value while identifying and minimizing waste. Simply, lean means creating more value for customers with fewer resources. We systematically identify non-value-added activities from value-added activities, which we will explain in greater detail in a few minutes. And by identifying these activities, we can eliminate waste. A lean organization understands customer value and focuses key processes to continuously increase its value to the customer. The ultimate goal is to provide perfect value to the customer through a perfect value creation process that has 0 waste. This thinking changes the focus of management from optimizing separate technologies, assets, and vertical departments to optimizing the flow of products and service through the entire value stream. This is why earlier I said lean is simple, but it's not easy, because one of the key factors that have to be taken in account in order to be able to work through the entire value stream, people have to understand that the work does not just end with their job, that it's part of the flow through the system. And so departments cannot work in isolation. And bringing down those silos is one of the biggest challenges. As mentioned earlier, lean involves eliminating waste along entire value streams instead of isolated points. It's about creating processes that need less human effort, less space, less capital, and less time to make products and services at far less costs and with much fewer defects compared to traditional business systems. Because of lean, enterprises are able to respond to changing customers' desires for high variety, high quality, low cost, and with very fast throughput times. Also, information management becomes much simpler and more accurate. Value-added activities are those that actually change the physical form or function of a product or service to something that more closely resembles a final product or service that the customer buys. Designing products and services to solve a customer problem or meet a need also adds value. All other activities are regarded as non-value added, since they do not change the form, fit, or function of the product or service. Since non-value added activities do not add value, they are considered waste and should be eliminated wherever possible. If you cannot eliminate them, then you should look to simplify, combine, or rearrange the non-value added activities to reduce them. Sometimes an activity is considered non-value added but necessary. This is a third type. It may not change the form, fit, or function of a product or a service, but it may be required so you cannot eliminate it. An example of this may be regulatory compliance, or an inspection which the customer has ordered and regards as important. We will discuss value-added, non-value-added, and non-value-added but necessary in more detail in our next learning event. Continuous improvement-focused enterprises adopt proven methods to identify problems, and Lean is one of those methodologies. As mentioned earlier, Lean is a systematic elimination of non-value-added work or waste from all processes. While it may not be possible or practical to eliminate all waste from processes, you make a continuous effort towards the achievement of zero waste. The opportunity is great, as studies confirm only 5% of activities are value added. Here are the 8 deadly and commonly recognized non-value added activities that result in waste. Defects, overproduction, waiting and watching, non-value added processing, transportation, inventory, motion, employees' knowledge, skills, and talents not utilized. All of these form the 8 wastes, and depending upon where you're learning about the wastes, there are some books that will refer to 7 wastes, or you may see 8. Sometimes you even see the 8 wastes broken down into 12 categories. So let's go over the 8 wastes. The first is defects. Defects can be caused by many things. Quality of materials. Defects is when you have products or work that has to be reworked or redone. Examples in an office area include data entry errors, pricing and quotation errors, sending partial documentation to the next process, lost files or records, incorrect information on documents and manuals. These are just a few examples. Waste number 2 is overproduction. Overproduction involves producing more goods or services than is needed or earlier than required. Examples are producing reports no one reads, making extra copies that are not read, printing, email, sending, or faxing the same document multiple times, entering repetitive information on multiple work documents or forms. Next, we have the waste of waiting, or sometimes known as waiting and watching. This involves waiting for anything: people, signatures, information, looking for tools, waiting for supplies, parts. In the office world, an example of waiting is excessive approvals or signatures, cross-departmental resource commitments, delays in providing or receiving information, or dependency on others to complete a task. The next waste is non-value-added processing. This is doing more work or higher quality than is required by the customer. An example is adding items or features the customer, whether internal customer or external, did not ask for. Transportation is unnecessary movement of products and materials. Examples would be delivery of documents or files not required, excessive filing of work documents or manipulation of computer files, email lists that are not up to date, any movement of work that does not add value, such as moving items to and from storage. Inventory. Inventory involves excess products or materials not being processed. In the office world, we're referring to stacks of files waiting for approval or signatures, files waiting task completion by others, purchasing excess office supplies and equipment, or holding on to obsolete office equipment and files. Our seventh waste is motion. Motion refers to unnecessary movements by people. Hunting through manuals for information, hand-carrying paperwork to another process, searching for files in your laptop or on your desk or anywhere in your office area are examples of the waste of motion. And last but not least, employees' non-utilized talents, skills, and abilities. This means not using or being aware of what your people's strengths are in terms of their knowledge, skills, and ability, and making use of those strengths. An example is having the wrong person doing the wrong job, or an activity where a person's skill is not suitable for the task. These are the 8 wastes. And if you'll notice by looking at it here on the slide, when we're talking about the 8 wastes, it also says downtime. D for defects, O for overproduction, W for waiting, and so on. Downtime is a waste. In the manufacturing and other industries, downtime is a time in which you cannot do any productive work. So that in and of itself is a waste, and this is the mnemonic which is also used to help us remember what the 8 wastes are. In improvement project work, the learn by doing approach requires that improvement work is included as part of the training program. All work has to be done on site and is based on the idea that you cannot learn continuous improvement or lean just from reading a book or attending a class. Did you ever try to learn how to ride a bike or play a musical instrument by reading a book without ever having the opportunity to get on a bicycle or touch the musical instrument? What happens? Nothing. If you're using this approach to learning how to ride a bike, the actual time when you first get on the bike, you may fall flat on your face, or it may take you numerous attempts. The point is, there's no substitute for putting in the time to practice. The same is true for continuous improvement and Lean Sigma. You have to get out of the books and the classroom and go out to try to apply in the real world to develop the skills needed to perform continuous improvement well. You can read all the books you want or take classes, but you won't get good at it until you actually invest the time and energy to practice, practice, practice. If you're the kind of person who wants to see results immediately, continuous improvement and lean are going to challenge you, just as learning a bicycle or playing the violin may have. Mastery doesn't happen instantly. All of these activities require the guidance of an experienced coach or teacher to steer you in the right direction and encourage you until you're confident and capable. So let's get some practice in learning to see by identifying the true situation at hand. Learning to see doesn't just happen by chance. As a champion, you have to get involved. See the facts. Go to the source and see the facts for yourself. Your job is to ask the right questions to encourage your team to make the right decisions. Develop and engage people through their contribution to team performance. And lastly, ensure goals are clearly communicated and attained safely at the best possible speed. Success has everything to do with your organization's culture and its ability to learn to see, adapt, and remain flexible. As we've said earlier, lean is simple, but it's not easy. And the only way to become successful in continuous improvement and lean is to learn by doing. Progress and change is easier when you make use of your strengths to address the root cause of a problem instead of focusing on a quick fix or a workaround that does not truly fix the problem. We thank you for your time and attention. If you have any questions or would like more information about the Lean Gulf Institute's online programs, please feel free to send us an email at info@leangulf.org. Also, our website can be found here through the first link, and if you would like more information or would be interested in registering for our Lean HSE Management Systems online course, the link is also provided here.